Let me tell you something that's going to sound totally wrong at first. When a man really sees you as the one, he doesn't actually treat you better. I know, that sounds crazy. But stick with me here because what I'm about to tell you flips everything you think you know about how guys show love. He doesn't treat you better, he treats you different. And most women totally miss this because they're looking for the wrong stuff. They're waiting for more flowers, more sweet words, more big romantic stuff. Meanwhile, the guy who's actually serious is showing up in ways that don't look romantic at all. In fact, sometimes they look kind of boring. And if you've ever felt confused about where things are going with someone, or if you've ever wondered why some relationships just feel more real while others feel like you're always guessing, this is exactly why. Because when a guy decides you're his person, something changes inside him. His whole vibe shifts. Not louder, not flashier, just different. And today, we're going to talk about the 4 things that actually happen when a guy sees you as the one. Not the movie version, the real version, the version that actually matters. Before we jump in, I want to say something. If you're here watching this, you're not here to mess around. You're here because you want the truth. You want to understand what's really going on. And I get that. So I'm going to be straight with you. No fluff, no feel-good stuff that doesn't actually help. Just what really goes down when a guy mentally and emotionally locks in. Because here's the thing nobody talks about. Guys don't announce when they've decided. There's no big talk, no announcement, no moment where he sits you down and goes, okay, I've made my choice and it's you. What happens instead is way quieter. His actions shift, his priorities change. The way he acts around you starts to feel different. And if you know what to look for, you'll see it clear as day. So let's break down what guys actually start doing when a woman stops being just someone they're seeing and becomes their person. 1, he stops trying to wow you and starts trying to get you. This is huge, and most women get this one totally backwards. In the beginning, when a guy likes you, he's putting on a show. He's showing you his best self. He's telling you his coolest stories, showing you his good side, making sure you see all the stuff that makes him look great. He's charming. He's paying attention. He's bringing his A game, and it feels good, right? Because who doesn't want someone trying that hard? But here's what happens when a guy sees you as the one. That show stops. Not because he's checked out, because he's getting real. He stops asking easy questions and starts asking deep ones. He's not just asking how your day was, he's asking why that thing bothered you, why you got upset, what you're actually stressed about underneath what you said. He starts noticing the stuff that doesn't make you look perfect, your moods, the things that tick you off, the stuff you're weird about. And instead of backing away or pretending he doesn't see it, he digs in. He wants to figure it out because here's what changes in his brain. When a guy is just dating around, he's thinking, does she like me? Am I good enough? How do I keep her hooked? When a guy sees you as the one, he starts thinking, who is she really? What does she need? How does she work? It's a completely different thing. And you can feel it in how he talks to you. The talks get deeper, less fun and flashy, more real. He's not trying to keep you entertained anymore. He's trying to understand you. And I know this can feel weird because it's less exciting than the early days. It doesn't give you those butterflies. But that's actually the whole point. When a guy is working to understand you, not wow you, he's building something. He's studying you because in his head, you're not temporary. You're not just for now. You're the person he's planning to do life with. So he needs to know how you think, how you feel, what makes you you. That's not him getting bored. That's him getting serious, real serious. And here's how you know the difference. A guy who's just into you asks stuff to keep the chat going. A guy who sees you as the one asks stuff and actually remembers what you said. He brings up things from weeks ago. He connects things you didn't even know were related. He notices when something you mentioned before is happening again. That's not just being nice. That's a guy building a whole file in his head about you because you matter. Let me give you a real example of what this looks like. You mention in passing that you don't like it when people are late because your dad was always late picking you up as a kid. A guy who's just casually into you, he forgets that tea in like 2 days. A guy who sees you as the one, he shows up early from that point on. Not because you asked him to, Not because you reminded him, but because he connected the dots. He understood that for you, being on time is about feeling valued. That's not surface level stuff. That's deep understanding. And when a guy is operating at that level with you, when he's paying attention like that, it's because in his mind, you're already his. He's just learning how to love you better. Another thing that happens here is he stops trying to be perfect around you. In the beginning, guys hide their messy side. We don't want you to see us stressed or tired or grumpy or unsure. We want you to see the polished version. But when a guy decides you're the one, he lets you see the real stuff. He comes over after a rough day and doesn't pretend everything's fine. He tells you when he's worried about something. He lets you see him when he's not at his best. And that might seem like a bad thing, like he's getting too comfortable, but it's actually the opposite. It means he trusts you with the real him, not just the highlight reel, the whole thing. And that level of trust, that only happens when a guy has decided you're safe, when he knows you're not going anywhere. Here's something else that shifts. He starts caring about what you care about. Not in a fake way where he's just pretending to be interested, but genuinely. You talk about something that matters to you, and he actually listens. He asks follow-up questions. He remembers details. He brings it up later. If you're stressed about something at work, he checks in about it. If you're excited about something coming up, he's excited with you. If something's bothering you, it bothers him too, not because he has to care, but because your world has become part of his world. What affects you affects him now, and that's a huge shift from a guy who's just casually dating to a guy who's emotionally locked in. 2, he starts making choices with you already in the picture. Okay, this one is massive, and women almost never catch it happening. When a guy sees you as the one, you start showing up in his future before he even tells you. Let me break down what I mean. Guys are planners. We think ahead. We map out our lives around goals, schedules, what we're doing, where we're going to live, what job we're taking, how we're building things. And when you're just someone a guy is casually seeing, you're not in that plan. You're on the side. He's making his choices based on what works for him, and then he fits you in if it lines up. But when you become the one, everything flips. Suddenly you're in his head when he's thinking about what's next. He's looking at a job and his first thought is, how would this mess with her life? Would she be cool moving? Does this work with what she wants? He's planning a trip, and before he even brings it up, he's already thinking about if you'd like it, if it works with your stuff, if it's something you'd want to do together. And sometimes this comes out in random ways. He'll say something like, when we go there, or our kids would probably, or we should really think about. And then he stops because he didn't mean to say it out loud. It just came out. Because in his head, you're already part of what's coming. This is different from a guy who mentions the future to see how you react or to test if you're on the same page. This is a guy who's already put you in his life, in his mind, and now his brain is figuring out everything based on that. And here's the thing. He's not doing this to trap you or lock you down. He's doing it because when a guy emotionally picks a woman, his brain naturally starts working with her in it. We can't stop it. It's just how we work. We start thinking, okay, if she's going to be part of my world, how do I build a world that works for us both? That switch is one of the clearest signs a guy means it. He's not just having fun with you in the now. He's building a life with you already in it. And you'll see this in small stuff too. He'll mention plans months out, like obviously you'll be around. He'll talk about his family's holidays and include you without checking first. He'll reference stuff that hasn't even happened yet, but in his mind already has you in it. That's not him assuming. That's him committed, because a guy doesn't build his life around a woman unless he's decided she's not going anywhere. Here's another way this shows up. He starts thinking about how his decisions affect you, even when you're not there. Let's say he's out with his friends and they want to go somewhere or do something. If he's just casually dating you, he does what he wants and tells you about it later. But when you're the one, he's thinking about how you'd feel about it. Not because you're controlling him or because he's scared of you, but because your opinion matters to him now. You've become part of his decision-making process. He's checking in, asking what you think, running stuff by you, not for permission, but because he genuinely wants your input, because in his mind, big decisions aren't just his anymore. They're yours together. And I know some women hear this and think it sounds like he's losing himself or giving up his independence. But that's not what this is. This is a guy choosing to include you because he wants to, because life feels better when you're part of it. When a guy voluntarily starts running his life decisions through the filter of how does this affect us, that's not weakness. That's partnership. That's him saying without words that you're not just along for the ride. You're in the driver's seat with him. Let me give you another example. Say he's thinking about buying a car or moving to a new place or changing jobs. A guy who's casually dating mentions it after he's already decided. A guy who sees you as the one brings it up while he's still thinking about it. He asks your thoughts. He considers your schedule, your life, your needs. He doesn't make big moves without looping you in. And that's not him asking for permission. That's him treating you like a partner, like someone whose life is tied to his. And when a guy starts operating like that, when you're not an afterthought but a main thought, that tells you everything about where his head is at. 3, he stops caring about winning fights and starts caring about fixing things. Let me keep it real with you. Guys have egos. All of us. We like being right. We don't like losing. And early on, or in relationships where a guy isn't really all in, that ego is in charge. If there's a fight, he's focused on winning, on making sure you get his point, on not giving in, on keeping his pride. But when a guy sees you as the one, something big changes when you fight. The goal switches. He's not trying to win anymore. He's trying to fix it. And that sounds like a small thing, but it's everything. Because when a guy really values you, his brain thinks differently during arguments. Instead of, Hugh, how do I prove I'm right? He starts thinking, how do I make sure this doesn't wreck us? Instead of needing the last word, he needs to make sure you two are good. Instead of letting the silent treatment go on for days to make a point, he reaches out because the distance bugs him more than his ego. Now, does this mean he never gets defensive? Nope. Does it mean he's suddenly perfect every time you disagree? Absolutely not. But here's what changes. He comes back. Even if he gets mad, even if he walks away, even if he needs space to cool down, he comes back. He'll say stuff like, can we talk about this? I don't want this to turn into something bigger. Let's figure this out. And that might not sound like much, but that's huge. Because what he's really saying is, you matter more than being right. When a guy values the relationship over his ego, that's not temporary. That's a mindset shift. It goes from me versus you to us versus the problem. And when you feel that shift, when you notice he's more interested in solving things than proving things, that's when you know he's thinking long term. Because anyone can fight to win. But choosing to fight for the relationship, that takes someone who's already decided you're worth it. And let me tell you, when a guy gets to that place, arguments feel different. They're still hard, sure, but they don't feel dangerous. They don't feel like they're going to end everything. They feel like bumps you're working through together. And that safety, that's what real commitment feels like. Another thing that happens here is he stops keeping score. You know that thing where someone brings up every little thing you've ever done wrong in a fight? Well, you did this last month and you did that last year. When a guy sees you as the one, that stops. Not because he forgets stuff, but because he's not holding on to it anymore. He's not building a case against you. He's not stacking up evidence to use later, because in his mind, you're on the same team and you don't keep score against your own teammate. You work together. So even when he's frustrated, even when he's upset, he's not pulling out the highlight reel of your mistakes. He's staying in the current moment, dealing with the current issue, trying to move forward. That's maturity. And that's a guy who's in it for real. Here's something else you'll notice. He starts apologizing differently. Early on, or with guys who aren't serious, apologies are about ending the fight. Sorry, can we just move on? But when a guy sees you as the one, apologies become about understanding. He'll say, I'm sorry I hurt you. I didn't realize that would land that way. Help me understand why that bothered you, so I don't do it again. See the difference? One is about shutting down the conversation. The other is about opening it up. One is about making the problem go away. The other is about actually solving it. And when a guy cares enough to understand not just what he did wrong, but why it hurt you, that's someone who's thinking about the long game, because he knows he's going to be around, so he needs to learn how to do better. 4, He becomes steady even when nothing exciting is happening. This one separates the guys who are really serious from the guys who just like the thrill. Anyone can be amazing when things are new and fun. Anyone can be romantic when there's excitement. Anyone can show up when everything feels good. But when a guy sees you as the one, he stays consistent even when life gets boring. Even when the spark isn't fireworks anymore. Even when it's just normal, everyday life. He doesn't disappear when things feel too regular. He doesn't pull back when the honeymoon phase ends. He doesn't start looking around because the rush is gone. He stays. Because real love, the kind that lasts, isn't about the high. It's about the steady. When a guy is just attracted or just interested, his effort goes up and down with his feelings. When he's excited, he's all in. When he's bored, he's checked out. When things feel intense, he's texting. When things feel flat, he's ghost. But when a guy sees you as the one, his effort evens out. It becomes reliable. He calls when he says he will. He shows up when he says he'll be there. He follows through on plans. He doesn't flake when something better comes up. And he does all this without you chasing him, reminding him, or dropping hints. He just does it because to him, showing up for you isn't optional. It's just what he does. And here's the thing that women need to understand. Consistency isn't exciting. It doesn't make your heart race. It doesn't feel like passion. It feels like normal, like routine. And because of that, a lot of women don't value it the way they should. They mistake it for him losing interest. They think he's not trying as hard anymore. Maybe he's getting bored. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is he stopped performing and started being. He stopped trying to win you and started being with you. And that shift, as boring as it might feel sometimes, is everything. Because consistency is what builds trust. Consistency is what makes you feel safe. Consistency is what lets you actually relax and be yourself because you're not constantly wondering if he's going to disappear. Think about it like this. Excitement is when someone shows up with flowers out of nowhere. Consistency is when someone shows up every single day, even without flowers, just because they said they would. Excitement gets your attention. Consistency keeps your heart. And when a guy becomes that steady presence in your life, when you stop wondering if he's going to flake or disappear or change his mind, that's when you know he's made his decision. Because guys don't stay consistent with women they're unsure about. We just don't. If we're not sure, we keep our options open. We stay flexible. We don't lock in. But when we're sure, we become that rock, that steady thing you can count on. Not because we're trying to prove something, but because in our minds, you're ours and we're yours. And that's just how it is now. And I want to be clear about something. Steady doesn't mean boring. It doesn't mean he stops being fun or stops surprising you or stops putting in effort. It just means his effort isn't tied to his mood anymore. It's not dependent on whether he feels like it that day. It's just part of how he operates now. You're part of his routine, part of his life, part of his daily reality. And when you become that embedded in a guy's world, when he doesn't have to think about whether to show up because showing up is just what he does, that's when you've gone from someone he's dating to someone he's committed to. Now let's talk about something else that happens with this steady thing. He stops being all over the place emotionally. Early on, or with guys who aren't serious, the emotional energy is all over the map. One day he's super into you, texting all day, making plans, being sweet. Next day he's distant, quiet, barely responding, and you're sitting there trying to figure out what you did wrong or what changed. But when a guy sees you as the one, that roller coaster levels out. His mood towards you becomes more stable, not flat, not boring, just stable. You're not constantly trying to read him or figure out where his head is at. You just know because he's steady with you. His affection doesn't spike and drop. It stays. And that consistency in how he feels about you and shows up for you, that's what lets you actually build something real. Here's what I want you to understand about this point. Women are often taught to look for passion, for intensity, for the guy who can't live without you, for the drama and the big emotions and the whole I need you thing. And look, I get it. That stuff feels good. It feels like love. But intensity isn't stability. Passion isn't commitment. The guy who can't live without you on Tuesday might decide he's fine without you on Friday. But the guy who just steadily shows up day after day, week after week, month after month, even when it's not exciting, even when it's just regular life, that's the guy who means it. That's the guy who's built his life around you. Because steady takes decision, steady takes commitment, steady takes a guy who's already made up his mind and isn't changing it based on how he feels today. Let me tell you something else about this consistency thing. It shows up in how he talks to you. When a guy is casually into someone, communication is random. He texts when he feels like it. He calls when he's bored. He reaches out when he wants something. But when a guy sees you as the one, communication becomes regular. Not obsessive, not constant, just regular. You hear from him. You know he's thinking about you. Even if it's just a quick text or a short call, there's a rhythm to it. And that rhythm, that predictability, that's what creates security, because you're not sitting around wondering if he's going to reach out or if he's forgotten about you. You just know he will. And that knowing, that's what peace feels like in a relationship. Here's another way this steadiness shows up. He stays present even when things get hard. Life gets messy, work gets stressful, family stuff comes up, health issues happen, and when a guy is casually dating, that's when he tends to disappear. Oh, I'm dealing with some stuff right now, I'll hit you up later. But when a guy sees you as the one, he doesn't vanish when life gets complicated. If anything, he leans in more, because in his mind, you're not someone he has to protect his image around. You're someone he can be real with. So when things get tough, instead of pulling away, he pulls you closer. He tells you what's going on. He lets you support him. He stays connected even when it's hard. And that's huge, because that tells you he's not just here for the fun times. He's here for all of it. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. When a guy sees you as the one, it doesn't look like the movies. It's not grand gestures and big speeches and dramatic moments. It's quieter than that. It's him wanting to understand you, not just impress you. It's him making decisions with you already in his head. It's him caring more about fixing problems than winning arguments. And it's him being steady, even when nothing exciting is happening. Those four things, they don't sound romantic. They don't give you butterflies, but they're what actually matters, because anyone can be exciting for a month. But showing up like this, that takes a guy who's decided, really decided. And here's the part that most people won't tell you, the part that actually matters most. This shift doesn't happen because you chased him. It doesn't happen because you proved yourself. It doesn't happen because you played it cool or played hard to get or followed some strategy. It happens when a guy meets a woman who knows who she is, a woman who's not auditioning, a woman who's not bending herself into shapes to make him choose her. Because here's the truth. A guy doesn't see a woman as the one because she worked harder than everyone else. He sees her as the one because something about her, about who she is, just fits. It clicks. And when it clicks for a guy, really clicks, he doesn't need convincing. He doesn't need chasing. He just starts showing up in these ways, naturally, because that's what happens when a man decides. So if you're sitting there wondering if a guy sees you as the one, don't listen to what he says. Don't wait for some big declaration. Watch what he does. Does he want to know you or impress you? Is he making plans with you, in them, or around you? When you fight, is he trying to win or trying to fix it? And is he steady, or does his effort go up and down like a yo-yo? Those answers will tell you everything. Because real commitment doesn't hide. It doesn't play games. It shows up clearly, consistently, and without confusion. And when a guy truly sees you as the one, you won't have to wonder, because clarity isn't confusing. Clarity is clear. Look, I know this might not be what you wanted to hear. I know you might have been hoping for something more romantic, more exciting, more like what you see in movies. But I'm giving you the real version, because the real version is what actually helps you. The real version is what lets you tell the difference between a guy who likes you and a guy who's decided on you. And there is a massive difference. Guys who like you come and go. Guys who've decided on you stay. Guys who like you show up when it's convenient. Guys who've decided on you show up, period. Guys who like you make you feel excited. Guys who've decided on you make you feel safe. And safe is what lets you actually build a life with someone. So pay attention. Watch what he does, not what he says. Notice if he's doing these four things or if he's just keeping you around while he figures it out. And most importantly, Value yourself enough to not settle for someone who hasn't decided, because you're not an option. You're not a maybe. You're not a let's see where this goes. You're the one. And the right guy, the one who actually sees that, he'll show you through his actions